From high above the Missouri River on the Bob Kerrey Bridge connecting Omaha, Nebraska and Council Bluffs, Iowa, welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
This week, is cycling scary? We are facing our biggest fears and possibly yours too.
It turns out Si is fearful of cows when he's riding, strangely enough. We've also got a new 24-hour record, a penny farthing stage race, a DT Swiss wheel set giveaway, and the welcome return of Extreme Corner.
Yes. You do know, don't you, that bovinophobia is actually very common and deeply traumatic for those that suffer from it.
I didn't know that. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that Amanda Coker has taken her legendary status, including riding the furthest distance in a year.
86,500 miles.
That's the one. And she's underlined it and put it in bold and capital letters.
Italics?
No.
Last week, she broke the women's 24-hour record, becoming the first woman to exceed 500 miles in a single day.
The new official mark of 512.5 miles smashed the previous record by 73 and meant she averaged over 21 miles per hour or 34 k's per hour for a full 24 hours.
Bonkers. Well done, Amanda. We also learnt that cycling acrobatics is almost equally as bonkers.
It is. This is Max Hanselman and Serafin Sheffield with their winning routine at the recent UCI Indoor World Championships.
So now we have our handlebar turn, both pairs looking to make this exactly the same. And into the grip together, so I think 3.5 turns there as they made that.
That is graceful in the extreme, isn't it? They are clearly enjoying themselves.
They are.
Clearly. Anyway, great stuff. Very impressive indeed. Now, a couple of weeks ago here on the GCN Show, we had this comment from John Flynn. With Halloween fast approaching, I was just wondering, apart from being attacked by a magpie in Australia or James's face after that horrific penny farthing ride, if cycling can be scary.
And that got us thinking, just how scary is cycling? And I think the answer really depends on who and where you are in many respects. Penny farthing hour records are the domain of just a handful of sadistic people, really,
Yes.
aren't they? Whilst diving magpies are really the bane of cyclists in Australia only.
Yeah, here in the UK at least, thankfully, there are very few animals that we need to be afraid of. Very few killer snakes.
Correct.
Or spiders. No bears, no crocodiles, no kangaroos.
Are
no...
kangaroos something to be afraid of, would you say?
Right, I tell you what, Dan, if one of them is bounding towards you from the side of the road, I dare say that you would be a little bit terrified. So
True.
yes.
They do go fast. I guess when I think of kangaroos, I'm thinking of the baby ones that you see the riders cradling at the Tour Down Under each January.
Do not be deceived, Dan. Now, of course, we do have cows.
Oh, we're onto that now.
In the UK here, of course, which are statistically 4 times more lethal than sharks.
Are they?
Globally. Yeah, they are.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are Britain's most dangerous animal, and I am, well, I'm bricking it quite frankly. One of them actually mooed at me in a very aggressive manner.
But it is true that in many other countries, other than the UK, animals and wildlife might be something you'd be wary or even scared about if you're out for a fright.
Not sharks, though.
No.
You'd imagine in most cases.
No.
Bears, definitely.
Yeah, mountain lions, moose, I got
Yeah.
told about, yeah. But there are plenty of other scary things about cycling, though, which are the same the world over, such as crashing.
I've crashed a couple of times whilst running, believe it or not. Although I must admit, the prospect of it is nowhere near as scary or as painful as crashing on a bike.
Sorry, crashing while running?
Yeah.
You mean tripped over?
I fell over, basically, yeah. But bodies and tarmac are never a good mech, Si, however you look at it.
No.
I must admit, though, that crashing is something that I really didn't think too hard about when I was younger. But I do now. This is a picture of me after a second crash at 60 kilometres per hour at the Tour of Qatar 10 years ago. Now, it was painful, but I got straight back on the bike, and I don't think I was any more scared or fearful of crashing again after that.
Maybe it's because you crashed for a second time, where there's no sense, Dan, there's no feeling, as they say.
Well, that's what my mum used to say. That's a very old saying, Si. Quite possibly you are right, though. Now, the prospect of hitting tarmac at any speed at this point, though, fills me with dread. It's always going to be painful, isn't
Well,
it?
it takes a lot longer to recover at your age, doesn't it?
It does, Si.
Yeah, but no, crashing is something that almost all cyclists are scared of, and I would say particularly those that took up cycling in later life rather than as a youngster when you just kind of bounce.
I'd go with that, yeah. And I guess for those that took it up in later life, that might also be the reason why they'd be fearful of high-speed descents, corners, ice, gravel on corners, etc. Although I would say that traffic is universally a bit scary, no matter how experienced you are, isn't it? Perhaps because your outcome can sometimes be out of your control.
Well, yeah, correct. Touch wood, I haven't been knocked off by a motorist yet.
Me neither.
Technically, though, I have hit 3 cars.
Or have you?
Yes.
I bet with the size of your ankles, they came off worse than you did.
No, my arse wrote one of the cars off. That was a head-on collision, my fault. The second car escaped with a scratch. That was not my fault. And the third was my Dura-Ace lever took out the rear lights on an AG2R team car once. But there is always the possibility. And with most roads getting ever busier, no matter where you are, it does feel like the chance of something untoward happening is unfortunately getting greater. Even if, important point here, the statistics actually say the opposite.
Yeah, that it's getting safer, which is nice to read, isn't it? That feeling, though, is perhaps why many riders are choosing to spend more time on gravel roads or even off the road completely, so that they're not sharing the roads with other motorists and road users.
Yeah, which is ironic, because it's actually much easier to crash off-road, isn't it?
Well, it is easier to crash, but it's nowhere near as scary or as painful when you crash
mud
off-road
and grass.
generally.
Mud and grass is preferable to tarmac and cars, isn't it? Although there is, of course, more chance of cows when you're off-road.
And therefore being presumably licked to death or something, Si. I think you're on your own with this one. Speed wobble, though, moving on, is something else that people are legitimately scared of, but only if you've experienced it once. Otherwise, you're completely oblivious to
Well,
it.
that's it. You've got no idea how scary it can be, can you? Your bike having a mind of its own, going down a descent. It feels like, now I don't know this for a fact because I've never done rodeo, but it feels like you're on a rodeo at 40 miles an hour. Although I don't think it happens as much anymore, actually, speed wobble.
No, I can't remember the last time I got speed wobble.
No. Well, I mean, I think we know why you haven't had speed wobble recently.
No.
But actually, modern bikes are stiffer, and I think that's what stops it. The GCN Tandem, meanwhile...
Sorry.
Seriously, Dan?
I was like, hello, mate. That is a very good point. I'll put that in. Cheers.
Who's that?
Ollie, he has suggested that we add in the fear of getting dropped.
I mean, that is a good point, actually. That is a worry for anyone with a competitive spirit, isn't it? Particularly those that aren't very good. But if you actually think about it, it's not something to be scared of, is it really? Unless you're wearing the yellow jersey at the Tour de France.
True. There's not a lot to lose if you get dropped on your local group ride, really, is there?
Seriously, Dan.
It's him again. What was it? Yep. Yeah, point taken. Cheers. He's saying that he's lost all his pride because he's been dropped so many times. So the only fear he has of getting dropped is if he gets lost now.
Well, I mean, that is another genuine fear, isn't it, I guess? Getting lost. Although, in the modern day mobile phones and GPS head units, getting completely lost is unlikely. Although some people actually search out that sense of adventure, don't they? Either going to really remote places or by leaving all devices at home.
But if you do that, how do you put your ride onto Strava?
Well, that is true, actually. If an adventurer gets lost, how do we know they're actually got lost if it's not on Strava? You know what I worry about is not getting lost, getting stuck with a terminal mechanical problem. I wouldn't say scared,
mechanical?
but I definitely worry. Yeah, mainly because I often wing it with a fairly minimal toolkit. Because I think, well, it hasn't happened in 10 years, therefore it's unlikely to happen next week. But if you're in somewhere really remote, you could actually be in a proper pickle.
Well, you could be, yeah. That's happened to you recently, hasn't it, with an interview?
It did indeed.
Anyway, we would love to hear from you at home. Is there anything that scares you about riding a bike? If there is, what is it that fills you with the most fear? Let us know in the comments section below.
Yeah, now, speaking of comments, the ones we had on the last week's show, which uncovered Dan's
Mistake.
from saying mistake, Dan's flagrant cheating with the height settings on Zwift, were actually, unfortunately, regretfully, sympathetic.
They were very sympathetic, so thank you to all of you.
Well, yeah, except for the few of you who now think that you should do a series of challenges on a bike designed for someone 130 centimetres tall, which sounds like a brilliant idea to me.
Might do to you, Si.
BMXing, maybe? But on the subject of Zwift, your results did actually come through, didn't they?
They did, yes. And based on my finish line test,
Go on.
I've been earmarked as a sprinter.
A sprinter?
Yes. I think given how strong I was in all the segment durations on that finish line ride, it was probably quite hard to pick which was my best asset. But the algorithms and computers decided on sprinter.
Sprinter.
Yeah. Watch out, Mark Cavendish. The lanky missile is incoming.
Yeah. I suppose it's much harder to lose sprint, isn't it?
Yeah, I just lost the rest.
Yeah.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we will start with the news that bike packing might never be the same again.
No more sleeping in a sleeping bag in a ditch, no more cumbersome tents, because Jay Nelson has come up with the Golden Gate Camper.
Would you believe it? An e-bike camper, complete with bed, kitchen, and toilet, so you can travel in comfort and style.
Although unfortunately, you can't travel very far because it has a range of 10 miles, which wouldn't get you too far down the new Empire State Trail over in the US.
No, this sounds like a good one, doesn't it? One for the bucket list, in fact. 750 miles of bike and pedestrian lanes that connect New York City to the Canadian border and Buffalo to Albany. Yeah, but you wouldn't get out of New York, would you, in 10 miles?
No, not in 10 miles, no. Anyway, this project started in 2017 and has cost $200 million. And it's basically connected the dots between 400 miles of already established route, which means that residents of New York City can set off by bike, arrive safely in Canada a few days later, and vice versa.
Good to know for the apocalypse, isn't it, that one? Now, at the start of the show, there was a brief mention of the pain Hank went through on a penny farthing a couple of years back. Well, there could be a lot more pain for him on the horizon because we've stumbled across a new challenge.
We have, he's definitely doing this. We stumbled across it on Bike Radar, who recently rode what should have been a 3-day penny farthing stage race in Sweden, but turned out to be 2. Daniel Johansson rode the event for the website, and he won it.
Wow.
But it was the quote from his article that made us think of Hank. "I have never had so much pain in my buttocks before, not even after riding the 4,200 kilometre long transcontinental race."
Yeah, better start training, Hank.
Yeah, buttock training, Hank. It does sound grim, but if anyone can do it, I think that Hank can.
Yeah.
Moving on, last week Alex Dowsett fell short of Victor Campenaerts' world hour record. He can still hold his head high, having raised £47,000 as we record this for the Haemophilia Society, a condition that he lives with himself.
Yeah, his distance of 54.555 kilometres isn't too shabby either, is it, to be fair? Imagine how cool it would be for him to raise 54,555 quid. If you would like to donate, then we'll put a link in the description below.
Or even if he broke Campenaerts' distance with his fundraising.
Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Cool, yeah.
You know, it's good to see that Dowsett was still able to maintain an aero tuck for the duration of the event, wasn't it? Here he is, in fact, after the finish, and he's still taking aerodynamics very seriously indeed.
Ever the pro, an aero hug at the end.
Yeah, he does look absolutely tucked, doesn't he?
I see what you did there, Si.
Yeah.
Now, we want to direct your attention over to the tech channel now, but GMBN, not GCN Tech.
That's right. Doddy has been busy making a modern replica of John Tomac's legendary drop bar mountain bike from the early 90s. Doddy was asking the question, are gravel bikes just mountain bikes from the 90s?
To which the answer is yes and no.
Yes.
Yes, they are fun, fast and feel great, but no, because they have brakes that actually work.
Oh yes. That's what 20 years of progress does for you. Or 30 years, in fact, scarily for us. Anyway, do check the video out. We are going to see if we can get Doddy and his gravel monster out for a ride very soon.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
We've got a new giveaway to announce right now, courtesy of our friends over at DT Swiss. On offer is a set of ERC 1100 die-cut 35 wheels. Ooh. All you need to do to put yourself in with a chance of getting your hands on them is to follow the link in the description just below this video, fill out the form, and then answer this question. How many teeth are in the ratchet of the EXP free hub system? And if you don't know, there is a little clue link in there for you.
Nice. There is also a video on GCN Tech today where Ollie takes a close look at the wheels. And I would imagine that is one of the points that he talks about on there as well, if we know Ollie. And he does like a ratchet free hub.
But if you don't want to watch Ollie, there is that link in the competition page.
Expect a phone call very soon, yeah.
GCN Inspiration now. We've just picked out 3 of our favourite photos uploaded to the GCN app over the last 7 days, all of which will get a prize. Third prize this week is a GCN Core blue beanie, and it goes to...
M. Smith G with this really cool photograph, Lake Como Climbs, it's titled. During my first international trip since COVID, I spent 3 days in Como in Italy, where I rented a bike and ventured up some mountains. Here I am on a cobbled switchback about halfway up the 1,100 metre Monte Bisbino climb. It's like the accent there.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, man. Anyway, there we go. Apparently his partner was on an e-bike, so he gave him a hard time. But how cool is that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we put it in third because the prospect of going up a cobbled climb that's 1,100 metres high might not be inspirational to all of us.
That is true. But that does flipping cool.
It is a great photo, nevertheless.
Right then, second place this week, Dan?
Yeah, getting an Epic Climbs t-shirt, the classic premium towel in small, is IMAC. Our first ever cycling holiday. I had the absolute pleasure of going to Andalusia.
Nice, well done.
Sorry, in Spain for a cycling holiday with Marmot Tours. For a Canadian, this isn't easy to get to, but once there, the views were sublime, the weather amazing, and the climbs killer. The memories will last forever, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the south of Spain for a little while. I mean, I've been to Mallorca. We're going to Mallorca soon, aren't we?
We are indeed. I love Andalusia, which is absolutely amazing. I don't think they do lisp down there, do they?
Oh, do they not?
No, I don't think so.
No, so my accent was terrible and your Italian was great, is what you were saying.
Can I say, IMAC, I love this photograph, but there's one thing on it that does bother me. The shadow that you have caused, that you have cast, shall I say,
yes,
over your subject. I mean, I'm no photographer.
Over your subject.
Yeah, just, maybe crouch down next time.
Have you done a course in photography recently, Si?
No, I haven't. No. That's the nice thing about being a critic, isn't it? You don't actually have to have any expertise of your own.
No skills whatsoever.
No.
Just criticise
Just know a shadow when I see one. I like that's great, genuinely. Anyway, the winner this week is from Orthogonal Line, Copper Hues, autumn adventure with my husband on wonderful gravel roads of Slovenia.
We've had a lot of good photos over from Slovenia, haven't we, over the past few years?
I really, it's absolutely high up on my list of cycling destinations. Slovenia.
Is it?
It just looks amazing. And
how's your Slovenian accent?
Probably non-existent, if I'm
honest. Well, at
honest.
least then the viewers can feel welcome to criticise your Slovenian accent and the subject that is talking about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, very good photo. Well done, Orthogonal Line. You win yourself a GCN Core blue hoodie, a GCN Core mug, and the Cyclist Cookbook, which we will remind you is available for pre-order now. And I think the expected dispatch date was 10th or 11th of November, so only a couple of days away from the GCN show release.
Absolutely.
67 delicious recipes from Nigel Mitchell.
Delicious and nutritious. Yeah.
Did I miss one of the taglines out?
Yeah, you did, no. It's a really cracking book, actually. I know we talked about that last week, but yeah,
available at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com right now. Hack / bodge of the week now. First up, Cake Badger with this, pump and valve core BFFs. When your pump hose becomes best friends with the valve core and won't let go, rubber band to the spoke for the short trip home worked perfectly. This is something you're going to have to consider because it wasn't a zip tie, it was a rubber band.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's brilliant. Yeah. I feel your pain when you've got a tube where the valve core
keeps coming out.
Yeah, like it's utterly infuriating. I don't.
And how many times do you attempt it with your tyre just letting down every time before you just give up and try something like this?
Yeah, well, this is great. Unfortunately, on a mini pump, you don't often have that luxury, do you?
No, it's slightly harder to rubber band a whole pump to some spokes as opposed to just the pump hose.
Yeah. So no, I think that's great. I don't want to sound old here, but I don't think that used to happen in the old days. I don't think tubes valve cores used to keep plopping out.
No, I don't remember that happening too much either.
No. Legit for tubeless, because then obviously you need to take the valve core out, don't you? But
well, I'll go hack because it was a necessary fix to get home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think hack too.
51% of people went for hack, 49% went for bodge.
Wow, seems a bit mean, but maybe you just don't like the poorly prepared inner tube. But anyway, there we go. Next up, we've got this from Tony Two Wheels, Senger 6344. A Velolecton. There we go. Got tired of trying to find a stand for my stuff. Remote, phone, snacks, magazine or tablet. Magazine? What? Anyway.
Only because you get so sweaty it becomes indecipherable.
Well, absolutely,
you can't read a magazine.
Anyway, reading a magazine whilst riding a trainer, that's a bodge. So I made my own. There you go. And they even said I'll sell some if people are interested. So let Tony Two Wheels know.
This does look like a stand that requires having a specific indoor training bike that you don't take on and off too much, because it looks like it needs quite a lot of fixing together to the bike each time.
Yeah,
it's a hack for the bike from me, incidentally. An old Merlin titanium.
Very nice. Yeah, look at that. With some vintage Campy on there, Dan. You know how you feel about that. No, I've got to say, I think it looks really nice, well executed, but I'd rather have my stand on the floor so it doesn't wobble around when I get excited.
Yeah, and also so you don't have to attach it to your bike every time. Although I'm imagining that Merlin spends most of its time now on the indoor trainer.
Great material for an indoor training bike. It's not going to corrode, is it?
Yeah, good point.
It's quite luxurious material.
Although he has got a sweat protector anyway, just to make doubly sure.
Well, you don't want
I'll go with hack.
You don't want a rusty headset, do you? Yeah, I'm going to say hack.
100% of voters went for hack. Although I have a feeling that I caught this very soon after it was submitted to the app, and that I might have been the only person that voted on it.
Yeah. Right, there we go. Next up, we've got this from Strep Finger. God, that sounds bad. Crisp dispenser, yes! Inspired by my hack on my Further East Epic. I thought I might do a more aero version of one. Well, having a front pouch under your jersey is really aerodynamic, but I appreciate having the zip undone was creating unnecessary drag. Anyway, I thought I'd treat myself to some saturated fats whilst waiting for the lights to go green. There we go, look at that.
Bodge.
Well, yeah,
just because you inspired it.
Thanks, mate. But also, I mean, that kind of, like, I don't know whether I've just got large hands. I don't think I do. But obviously, once you've eaten a fair few of those crisps, you're going to need to turn the tube up the other way, aren't you?
True,
you can't get them out the bottom.
No.
And they'll probably get a bit broken.
That is very true, yeah.
Whereas
although
mine,
I probably could get my hand in with my 130 centimetre frame size and continue snacking away on the Pringles. I'm going to go bodge, like I said.
Yeah, no, I like that. But it is a bodge.
Yeah, 51% going for bodge, so actually 49% said that was a hack. Next up, this came in from P. Tekut. Snapped gear cable, no problem. Gear cable snapped 11k into the ride. Solution, wind lower limit screw in as far as it will go. Run the cable to the nearest bolt, pull as hard as you can and clamp it, then wind out the barrel adjuster to set the gear, removing any chain noise. Luckily, I had enough cable to do this, and it managed to get me into gear 5, which was enough for another 35k's, although I did have to avoid the steep climbs on the way home.
There we go. Nice. Good roadside or trailside hack, I think.
I'll go with hack as well then.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, 3/4 of voters went with hack for that one.
Nice. This one sent in by M.I. Potemkin. I feel like I've made an error.
Potemkin sounds about right.
Well, maybe. Anyway, improvised bike repair stand made by Volkswagen. There we go. Rear lid dampers are strong enough to hold my 8.5 kilo cyclocross bike. Well, that's quite cool, isn't it? Look at that.
Although you wouldn't want to jet wash it from that angle, would you? At the end of your race.
No, true
that. Not have a clean bike and a rather dirty camper.
Yeah, maybe if you're just doing your indexing or something, that's all right. Or
fettling
probably,
about.
Stopping your disc brakes from rubbing, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, I'll go with hack.
Yeah, and then the last one sent in by Simon Richardson.
Bodge. I almost said hack then.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen it yet.
Fair, it is a hack. I'll tell you why it's a hack, because it was from a video that you made.
Hack.
About 8 years ago, yeah. Run out of inner tubes. I hadn't technically run out, it's just that the spare I'd bought with me didn't fit the rims that I was using, which is a bit embarrassing, isn't it? But anyway, so I just tied a knot in my punctured inner tube, stuck it back in the tyre, and away I went. And it was a little bit bumpy, but it was safe. I rode home at full speed, and it was fine.
Yeah.
So there we go. So I'm going to give myself a hack.
Well, would you like to know the results?
Yes, please.
56% voted hack.
Hey!
Well, I do note, Si, that you didn't vote yourself, because that's the first thing I would have done on my own photo, is voted it a hack.
I feel like that's not allowed.
No, I straight away, a like on my own photos, a hack on any hacks or bodges that I put up. Yeah, please feel free to get involved ready for 2 weeks' time, because next week's hacks and bodges are already on the app, ready for you to vote on.
Yeah, and if you all come now and find my post and vote bodge, I'll be very cross with you. It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Elite water bottle, minus zip tie. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment section down below. Pick out a winner next week. Results time first, though. Dan?
It is. We have, for the second week in a row, got an honorary mention.
Yeah.
Play and Teach put caption marginal gains. The winner benefited from a bigger draft.
Yes.
That was very clever, but it's not the winner this week. The winner is Tom Warren, who put caption, don't be a sore loser.
Brilliant.
Genius.
Love it. Well done, Tom. You will get a GCN Elite water bottle sent out to you as soon as you get in touch with us with your address. We might be able to throw a zip tie in. We've got 400. That'll keep us going for a while.
Yeah, over a year.
Okay.
No, that's 365 days, isn't it? It's about 8 years. Sorry.
Yeah, bear in mind this is GCN show number 461.
Yeah,
if we gave out one zip tie a week,
Yeah.
we'd be going for a long
I
time.
think they'll see us through to our retirement, Si. Never
Your
say never. I mean,
retirement.
you're hoping to get through to 1,000 here. Call it a day then. Anyway, we digress. This week's photo is this one from the sidelines of the European Cyclocross Championships last weekend. I will get you started.
Come on, mate.
Bike helmets are mandatory in Belgium cyclocross. I mean, that's a rather passionate cycling fan there, isn't it?
It is. What do you think is the black tube dangling from the helmet?
It looks like an... Oh, it's a tube. Is it coming from the horn, isn't it? So it
connects
can
to the
blow.
horn.
It looks like an old inner tube, which wouldn't work if you tied a knot in it because no air would get through when he blows on the tube to start the horn.
Yeah, I was looking for some kind of like hidden beer. So it's like a camelback, but on a helmet.
Well, I guess it could work both ways. You blow when you want to make the horn sound, and alternatively, you can just bow your head and someone can pour some beer in, and then you can suck the beer down.
Oh my word! I want to see you wearing one of those helmets.
And choke on beer.
Yeah, if that's your bike helmet, if you could send it in, we'll borrow it just for a GCN show.
Yeah.
Just make that.
Someone will make that for us, won't they? Anyway, leave your best captions in the comment section just down below. We'll pick a winner next week. We've picked out a load of great comments underneath the last 7 days worth of videos before we let you know what's coming up over the next 7 days, starting under last week's show with this from Pinja Lena Jalkanen. I think we can forgive Dan. 1, his power to weight ratio was correct anyway, and 2, he refused to have a beer when Si offered him one. You know, the interesting thing about that is that's probably the first time in 8 years that you have offered me one, knowing that I probably wouldn't accept in the middle of a Zwift test.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Tactics, that is. Anyway,
I should have said yes and then just left it on the side when I'd finished, shouldn't I?
Well, that
Clearly
wouldn't be the
wasn't
option.
thinking very well at the time.
Yeah, I was banking on the oxygen debt, hampering your cognitive function. Anyway, next up, Bernardo Pinchera. The true scandal would have been Dan not cheating. Which, I mean, there was no e-bike in sight, was there?
No.
But I think prior to the invention of e-bikes, I don't think you did cheat. I think because you were actually quite good back then.
Yeah, I do try and find little shortcuts without necessarily cheating on various challenges over the years.
That's true.
Mark Cowell,
Marginal
the
gains.
aforementioned comment from earlier in the show, the GCN team should set down a series of cycling challenges, all to be completed on a bicycle size for someone 130 centimetres tall. 200 likes on that.
Wow.
But no. Well, never say never.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll see what we can do. Under the world's steepest climb video, which went up on Sunday, cracking vid, make sure you check it out. Brian Thomas said, all that tech and kit, but no one has a broom. They probably do have brooms, Brian, but not with them on a bike ride.
No.
Because, I mean, I've got a broom, and I don't tend to take it with me. Dan's got a leaf blower.
Well, yes, I could have taken my new rechargeable leaf blower with me to sort that road out. Mark Stone wrote, this time Ollie manages to get dropped before he even starts. The joke that never gets old.
Brilliant.
Meanwhile, under Bamboo Bike, which was Si's first look last week, Kimberly Sparkles put, realising that Simon just looks like he's riding a small bike he stole from Deceptive Dan.
Pretty much, although Emily was significantly taller than 130 centimetres. So Dan was going to have to go even smaller than that.
Also, Si, you'll be interested in this one from Rupert Norris. The bobbly bit, as Simon referred to, is the leaf nodal ring in plantar. If anyone is remotely interested, and you will be.
I am remotely interested, Rupert, more than remotely. That's brilliant. The leaf nodal ring.
Make sure you don't forget that.
I'm going to have to Google that now and find out why the leaf nodal ring exists.
Right,
But,
coming
there
up
you
on
go.
the channel over the next week, on Wednesday, we have got a tour of the Enovit factory for you over in in Italy, which I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to that.
On Thursday, it is the GCN Tech Show as always, and on a Friday, what's the most amount of power that two GCN presenters can put out on a tandem?
Yeah, this is like GCN does science. We're trying to work out why the tandem was so slow going up hills. Is it like sucking power? But so we've got me and Hank and attached it up to an indoor trainer, a Wahoo KICKR, to find out how much power we are indeed putting out.
And is this multiple durations or a sprint test? Or
you have to watch the vid and find out, won't you? Yeah, going to keep it cryptic. Right then, on Saturday, super excited about this. We've gone and got our hands on a Shimano Ultegra group set, the brand spanking new one. So we're going to have a first look for you on Saturday. And then on Sunday, oh yes, Freddie, like you said, not a beginner anymore. Freddie was our amateur hero that trained up for the Mallorca 312 Sportif, 312 kilometre long Sportif. And this is the story of how he got on. So definitely make sure you check that one out.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in racing, it's all about cyclocross this week. We've got 3 big races for you, the Ethias Cross and then the Super Prestige next round of that. And on Sunday, the World UCI Cyclocross World Cup goes to the Czech Republic and Tabor. So for the first 2 I mentioned, they are available in all territories except for Belgium. And then for the World Cup, it's throughout Europe except for Belgium, Italy, Sweden and Norway, I think it is.
A random collection of countries, that is. They're not random countries, of course, but just banding them together and saying you can't watch cyclocross and GCN Plus. Seems random.
Just to explain to people, it's because a broadcaster there already has the exclusive rights to show those races in that country, and therefore we're not allowed to.
It's about as interesting as leaf nodal rings to most people, isn't it? On GCN Plus, available everywhere, of course, we've got a brand new film for you this week. And John Cannings has gone to meet Mike Burrows, who is a tech legend, invented or designed the original Lotus Aero bike, plus, perhaps most importantly for all of us, the giant TCR, which has had knock-on effects around the cycling industry for the last couple of decades, hasn't it? So I cannot wait to check that one out.
That will be a good one. Cool. All right, we're going to finish the GCN show for the first time in a long time with Extreme Corner.
Yes!
Here's some more footage from the recent UCI Indoor World Championships.
Into the handlebar handstand. Very solid into the dismount as our competitors now move from 2 bikes across to 1. So this now is very difficult indeed. So the riders into the headstand and then straight on to the handstand on the saddle. The balance required and those fine movements to keep it in control, they're hardly perceptible as you can see them move around.
Oh God, it's just beautiful, isn't it?
Well, it is extreme and incredibly impressive.
But it's like, it's more than that. It's like art. It's like bike ballet, isn't it?
That, to remind you, is Max Hanselman and Serafin Sheffold, who won the Indoor Cycling Championships for the 4th time in 5 years quite recently. And the time they didn't win it wasn't on.
Oh, there we go.
COVID, so they are the dominant force in that discipline. Incidentally, a huge thank you to the UCI for allowing us to use that clip. And if you'd like to see more of that discipline, they've got plenty over on their YouTube channel.
Can I say something, Dan? Honestly, I would love to learn bike gymnastics. I think you and me should team up. What do you reckon?
I'm not sure I want to get that close to you.
No, we can maybe adapt the routine to be a little bit less, you know.
With our skills, we might end up much closer together in a heap on the floor pretty quickly.
I think we should try it.
Yeah, we give it a go.
Need to work on your core stability a little bit. I'm sure
I'm
sure there's like a routine that we could learn. Because you can have
just riding round in synchronisation.
Well, yeah.
You go a bit slower, side, bit slower.
We can both track stand. You can do wheelies. I can almost do wheelies.
Yeah, I can stand on some handlebars whilst riding along.
Can you?
No, not a chance. Anyway, we are rampeting on
We need to
a little bit, aren't we? Let's wrap things up. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you next week.